You light a candle without thinking about it, a flick of the thumb. A small flame appears. You don't flinch, you don't feel awe, you move on with your evening. But the real answer to why humans discovered fire is far stranger than convenience. It has almost nothing to do with light, and almost nothing to do with warmth. For decades, the story you were probably told went like this. Lightning struck a tree. A caveman watched it burn. He realized fire could keep him warm at night and scare away predators, so he learned to use it. Simple, tidy, wrong? Fire didn't just change how your ancestors survived the night, it changed the shape of your skull, it changed the size of your gut, it changed, quite literally, what kind of animal you became. So, what actually happened? Around 1.8 million years ago, something strange shows up in the fossil record. A new species appears called Homo erectus. Its brain is dramatically bigger than the species before it, its teeth are smaller, its gut is shorter, its body is built for endurance, not power. None of that should be possible on a raw diet. A bigger brain demands enormous energy. Roughly 20% of the calories you burn right now, just reading this, are being spent by your brain alone. Raw plants and raw meat simply don't deliver enough usable energy to fund an organ that expensive chewing alone would eat up most of your day. This is where the anthropologist Richard Wrangham enters the story. In his research on what's known as the cooking hypothesis, Wrangham proposed something radical. Fire wasn't discovered for warmth, it was discovered by accident for digestion. Cooking does something raw food cannot. It breaks down tough plant fibers before they ever reach your stomach. It denatures proteins in meat, unraveling them so your gut barely has to work. In effect, cooking is predigestion. It moves part of the digestive process outside the body and into the fire. Wrangham's argument is simple and unsettling. Without cooked food, the human brain as you know it could not exist. The energy math doesn't work. Something had to subsidize that growth. Fire was the subsidy. Think about what that means for a moment. The device sitting in your pocket right now, capable of abstract thought, language, planning decades into the future, exists because some early hominin accidentally cooked a piece of meat that fell into hot ash. But here's where the story gets even stranger. The fossil evidence for controlled fire use is shockingly hard to find. For over a century, researchers searched for proof. Burnt bones, charcoal, hearths. Most early sites were ambiguous. A burnt patch of earth could come from a lightning strike just as easily as a controlled flame. Then, in 2012, archaeologist Francesco Berna and his team examined Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Deep inside the cave, far from any natural fire source, they found ash and burned bone fragments dated to roughly 1 million years ago. Inside a cave, lightning doesn't reach, wildfires don't wander in. This wasn't an accident anymore. This was deliberate. Carried fire, tended fire, fire that had been kept alive and brought somewhere on purpose. Around the same period, archaeologist John Gowlett spent years studying fire evidence across early human sites in Africa. His conclusion echoed Wrangham's but added a darker twist. Fire didn't just feed bodies, it restructured behavior entirely. Once a group keeps a flame alive, everything changes. Someone has to gather fuel. Someone has to watch it through the night. Someone has to protect it from rain, from wind, from extinguishing itself into ash. A single mistake means starting from nothing. And starting from nothing, without lightning, could mean going without fire for months. Fire turned into the first shared responsibility in human history, the first task that required real cooperation, real trust, real division of labor. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. You'd expect that early humans created language to talk about hunting or tools or danger, but there's compelling evidence the real catalyst was something far quieter. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner published a study examining the Zhu-Huansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth to retain a deep oral firelight tradition. She compared their daytime conversations to their nighttime ones recorded around the fire. The difference was staggering. During the day, conversation was practical, complaints, gossip, logistics, conflict. But at night, around the fire, something shifted. Stories took over, myths, histories, moral lessons passed down through generations. The firelight conversations were nearly 6 times more likely to involve storytelling than daytime talk. Weisner's theory is simple but profound. Before artificial light, darkness ended the workday. There was nothing left to do, no tools to make, no food to gather, just firelight and each other. That forced stillness may have been the incubator for human culture itself. Not the hunt, not the tool, the fire pit. Sit with that for a second. The bedtime story you were told as a child might trace its lineage back hundreds of thousands of years to a circle of bodies sitting in the dark, lit only by orange light passing down who they were and where they came from. Now, here's the twist that flips the whole story upside down. You'd assume fire made early humans feel safe, protected from predators, warmed against the cold. But some researchers argue fire did the opposite first. It made humans more exposed before it made them more secure. A burning fire at night is visible for miles. It announces your location to every predator and every rival group nearby. Early fire use wasn't a security blanket, it was a gamble, a deliberate trade of stealth for warmth, of safety in darkness for community in light. Your ancestors chose visibility. They chose to be seen. That single decision may be the seed of everything that makes you human now. The willingness to be exposed, to gather in the open, to trust that the group sitting beside you in the light was worth the risk of being found. So what does any of this have to do with you? Scrolling through a feed tonight? Candle flickering somewhere on a shelf you forgot you lit? Every time you gather around a screen with people you love? Every time conversation slows down after dark? Every time a story keeps you up later than it should? You're running an ancient program. Your brain was built around firelight. It still expects a circle. It still expects stillness. It still expects someone somewhere telling you who you are. You don't need flint and kindling anymore. You carry fire in your pocket now in the glow of a screen instead of a flame. But notice what you reach for when the lights go down. A story, a voice, a connection to something outside yourself. You light a candle without thinking about it. Maybe now you will.